You start your day completely fine. You are content with exactly what you own, completely at peace with your life.
But human beings do not live in a vacuum. We are surrounded by a constant, moving wave of human behavior. Suddenly, an anomaly enters your field of view. Someone else has something new, something bright, something highly visible. Then, one becomes three. Three becomes a crowd. A clear pattern begins to establish itself right in front of you.
Your brain instantly picks up on the shift. It notes a discrepancy between what you have and what the group has.
In less than 60 seconds, you have transitioned from a state of total contentment to a state of sudden isolation. To understand why this micro moment stings so badly, we have to look at our ancient biological wiring. Thousands of years ago, being outside the group circle did not mean feeling awkward. It meant literal death by predation. The brain treats social isolation exactly like physical pain. It triggers a deep survival alarm designed to keep you aligned. We no longer live on the savannah, but we still run on the exact same prehistoric survival software every single day. Modern marketing does not sell products. It targets this exact prehistoric fear of being left out in the cold. The message is never subtle. It screams that you are falling behind, and your brain treats it as a threat. So, you make the decision to fix the discrepancy. You pay what is essentially a social survival tax. You aren't buying the object because you actually need it. You are buying an entry ticket back into the tribe. The moment you put it on, you step back into the safety zone. The immediate buzzing background anxiety finally stops. You receive the quiet validation of conformity. You look exactly like everyone else, meaning you are completely safe. But notice the underlying reality. Your happiness did not actually increase. Your fear simply decreased for a moment. You traded real, hard-earned financial resources simply to return to the exact same mental baseline you started with. But this psychological trap goes far deeper than physical products. It shapes our entire mental landscape. People don't just buy things to avoid being outsiders. They actively adopt specific mindsets and trending opinions. It is called ideological conformity. It is far safer to repeat the group's slogans than to stand alone with your thoughts. We outsource our critical thinking to the collective identity because independent thought carries a high social price tag. Every time you agree with something you don't actually believe, you chip away at your own internal authenticity. Eventually, the individual completely vanishes. You become a modular piece of a monoculture, completely interchangeable. We do all of this to feel connected, to feel like we are part of something greater than ourselves. But proximity is not connection. Standing in a crowd of people wearing the same uniform is just organized loneliness. Everyone inside the trend is playing the exact same defensive game, completely terrified of showing any real vulnerability. The connection is between the status tokens, not the human beings. Remove the tokens, and the relationship evaporates.
You can spend your entire life savings matching the lifestyle of a group and still remain entirely invisible to them.
It is a highly superficial ecosystem where inclusion is completely conditional on your willingness to keep paying the tax. And that brings us to the ultimate realization of the trap. The goalposts are entirely rigged. The old trend is suddenly declared obsolete. A new token is introduced to regenerate the sense of scarcity.
The entire cycle resets instantly. The safety you just purchased evaporates, and you are an outsider all over again.
No way, come back!
Why does this always happen?
If your identity is tied to staying current, you are signing up for an infinite, exhausting mental treadmill. The system is deliberately designed to keep you feeling slightly incomplete, slightly behind, and slightly insecure. Because a secure individual who is entirely content with what they have is completely useless to a consumer culture. Look at the accumulated wreckage of everything you've ever bought just to fit into a room you don't even like. Think of the sheer volume of time wasted tracking down items, researching trends, and curating opinions. When you spend all your energy echoing what other people want to hear, you lose the ability to speak your own truth. The psychological erosion happens slowly until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person inside. You become a beautifully curated collection of other people's preferences, completely devoid of your own essence. You paid the ultimate price to avoid feeling lonely, only to end up completely disconnected from yourself. But there is an exit door. It requires a singular, radical act of internal defiance. You have to look at the trend, acknowledge the social pressure, and actively choose to drop the token. You must make peace with the label of being an outsider. You have to realize that it is not a death sentence. When you stop running away from exclusion, you take away its entire power over your emotional state. What the crowd considers isolation, psychology calls autonomy. It is the birth of true individuality. The moment you stop seeking permission to exist from the group, you stop being a prisoner to their shifting metrics. This is the transition from FOMO to JOMO, shifting from the fear of missing out to the absolute joy of missing out. You begin to rebuild your internal world based on genuine interest, actual utility, and real personal alignment. An interesting thing happens when you step out of the herd. You attract people who actually value your authenticity. You find a tribe based on mutual resonance, not conditional performance, a network built on real connection.
Exactly. It's about that mutual understanding.
Yeah, real connection. You realize that missing out on the hyper-curated trends means saving your energy for things that actually matter. You become entirely unmanipulatable. The entire mechanism of consumerist panic no longer works on your brain. To protect yourself moving forward, run a quick internal check every time you feel the urgent need to acquire something new. Ask yourself clearly, am I choosing this because it genuinely improves my daily life, or to avoid being an outsider? If the answer is social preservation, have the courage to step back. Be completely comfortable with the distance. The crowd is always running toward an artificial horizon. You don't have to follow them over the edge. Protect your mental sovereignty, secure your personal boundaries, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Subscribe, and I will see you in the very next breakdown.